Hi, I'm Maggie Mestrich, the Director of Business Development for the Carmel Swim Club and Carmel Swim Academy. We share stories and experiences from our Carmel Swim Club alumni as a way to demonstrate the incredible, long-lasting impact that swimming, and specifically swimming with Carmel Swim Club, can have on your life. Today, I am talking with Trish Regan. Hi, Trish. Trish Regan. Hi, Trish.
Hi, Maggie. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, just excited to talk about my experience. I think Carmel Swim Club is an experience that truly changed my life. So I could spend all day talking about it. So I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good. All right. Are you ready to get started?
Yep, I'm ready.
Can you place yourself within the context of Carmel swimming? When did you start? How long did you do it? All that fun stuff.
Yeah, so I began swimming with Carmel Swim Club when I was 9 years old. I swam with them all through middle school, all through high school until I graduated in 2010 from Carmel. And then I ended up coming back in 2015 and I helped coach the Discovery and Imagination groups for about 2 years.
And how old are the swimmers in those groups?
Oh my gosh, I think they were 6 and unders and then all the way through 10 years old, I believe.
Yeah.
I think the groups are always changing, so that's what I remember. That
still aligns with what it was. So you had some little ones.
Yes, I had some little ones.
All right, where are you now? Geographically, professionally, personally, whatever you care to share.
Sure. Okay, so I live in New Orleans, Louisiana now. I moved down here. It's going to be about 4 years in the summer after I graduated from Purdue. And then I came down here to be a graduate assistant at Tulane University, where I was also working with their women's swim team. So swimming brought me here as well, which is a beautiful opportunity. But so I ended up getting a master's degree from Tulane, and then I started working in healthcare. More the administrative side. And I did that for about like 2 years or so and decided I was more interested in the clinical side of things. And I am now back in school. I am in LSU's occupational therapy program here in New Orleans. So I have about 1.5 years left, but that's where I'm at now.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Let's bring it back a little bit earlier now. Can you share some of your first memories of being around the water? It doesn't have to be related to competitive swimming, just anything fun around pools, beaches, anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I think back on my experience, it all revolves around a neighborhood pool. I think that's just what you do in the Midwest during the summertime. It's like, what am I going to do? I go to the neighborhood pool with my friends and my older siblings. So I have an older brother. He's 2.5 years older. And he was always able to go to the pool and swim on his own. And I was in the kiddie pool and I hated that. So I nagged my mom and she ended up signing me up for swim lessons. So I initially started in swim lessons. I remember like I loved it because I just felt natural in the water, but I hated being on my back and like water splashing in my face, which is funny because I'm a backstroker. But so it started out as that. And then I joined the neighborhood swim team more for like a social aspect. I think, again, all of my friends did that. And I was just kind of interested in being a part of a team environment. My older brother did it. But so I fell in love with the social side of things, you know, just being at the meets in the summertime, like eating the candy in between events, running around, kind of this chaos aspect about it. But it was the first time that I felt like I was a part of a team. And I remember just having this affinity for the older kids and being so interested in being a part of the same team as them. And like we had the same t-shirt, we did all the same cheers. Like that was just so exciting for me as a young kid. So originally that's why I started swimming. I actually wasn't very skilled with land sports either. So the pool made sense.
So many of us were not. Yes.
That held true for about the rest of my life too. So, but then I ended up joining Carmel Swim Club when I was 9. I had a few friends from my elementary school who swam. So they ended up having this week, I think it was like in the beginning of the season, and the kids would get a popsicle if they brought a friend. So my friend at school was like, do you want to come to swim practice with me? Like, we'll both get a popsicle. And I was like, Definitely, I'm there. So I went to practice and then I never left. I joined and I ended up swimming all through high school and then again through college and whatnot. But that's really the beginning of my journey.
I talked to another swimmer last week. Harrison Wagner brought up the bring a friend to practice.
Really?
He did not mention the popsicle.
Well, that was my incentive. Like, that is why I went.
Do you remember what color popsicle you got?
No, I don't. But I remember the friend. I remember everything about it besides what I ended up getting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Who is the friend who brought you?
It was Brenna Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
She ended up swimming, I think, up until high school, and then she did some other sports as well. But yeah, so that's how I started.
Oh, I love it. What is the most significant lesson that you learned with Carmel Swim Club?
Oh my gosh. I mean, honestly, there are so many. Like, the list goes on and on. But I think something that I apply to my everyday life, or that I can apply to every facet of my life, is just handling adversity. Mm-hmm. I think that, as a human being, it's natural that you're going to run into instances where maybe you fall short of achieving a goal, things don't go the way you planned, and, things turn out not, again, how you envisioned. Maybe you have an injury, you didn't get the job you wanted. We all experience that. And I think that through Carmel Swim Club, I had the proper guidance and leadership to help me figure out, like, how do I navigate situations like this? Mm-hmm. How do I prepare for them to happen? Like, how do I adapt from them? And how do I figure out, how am I not going to let this time of adversity define me? And how am I going to find ways to grow from it? And I think that, all of us probably had so many experiences at Carmel Swim Club where we were faced with adversity, and all of the coaching staff was there to help guide you through that time in your life. And I think as a young adult, it can be difficult to figure out those strategies and figure out how to work through that. And I think that having that guidance prepared me to utilize those skills later in life, whether it was in athletics or with a job or a career or your personal life. So it's something that I try to implement in my everyday life now.
That's great. Mm-hmm. What advice or insight would you offer to current swimmers? And you can put your coach hat back on too if you need to.
I mean, of course, have fun. I feel like every single one of us has said that, but it's true. You're there to enjoy your time. You're there with all of your best friends. Mm-hmm. It's a really special time in your life. And I just think, just take it for what it is and enjoy every day. Find something to smile about. But aside from that, I would definitely encourage every athlete to try and celebrate their small victories or accomplishments. And that may resonate a little bit more with some of the older swimmers just because they've had more of an experience with it. But swimming is an incredibly rewarding sport, but it can also be, incredibly demanding physically and mentally. And you can go through periods where you don't see all of your progress and hard work pay off for maybe like weeks or months on end, potentially even seasons. That's just the name of the game. And I think it can be very difficult sometimes not to get too into your head about it and not have tunnel vision and be worried about the things that aren't showing up in terms of progress. So by focusing on these small achievements and accomplishments, I think that it just provides for a more positive experience on a day-to-day basis. It helps foster an optimistic mindset, and I think it helps develop self-confidence, and everyone has something that they can be proud of. And I think it's important to acknowledge those things and give yourself some positive reinforcement. So it can be anything, it can be doing 8 kicks off every wall at practice one day when you normally maybe do 7, or maybe you swam on a faster interval, or you encouraged a teammate who is struggling mentally. It doesn't just have to be about yourself, but I just think, again, that it creates for a more positive experience, and it makes it a little less grueling mentally, and allows you to be proud of yourself, which everyone should be proud of themselves because they're accomplishing so much within this sport on a day-to-day basis, and it's not always acknowledged. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah. What would you tell somebody who is thinking about joining Carmel Swim Club?
I mean, I would say 1000% do it. I think that for me, it was life-changing, and I think it can be life-changing for everyone in a different way. And you don't really understand how it's going to impact your life until, you're 29 years old, like me.
Yeah.
And you reflect on your experience and realize, like, I got my first job out of undergrad due to a connection with Carmel Swim Club. I was brought down to New Orleans to work with the swim team. It manifests in so many different ways that you can't anticipate. But I think for me, when I look back on my experience, I think one of the most impactful parts of it was that it provided me a community and a space where I felt like I belonged, or I felt like, I was connected to a group of people. And I think during those years when you're joining Carmel Swim Club, whether it be elementary school, middle school, even high school, if you're curious about joining then, like, the most impactful part of it is that it just gives you this immediate family and this immediate community where you feel like you belong. And during those ages, I think it's those formative years of your life, it's so important to feel connected to something. And I think that Carmel Swim Club will give you that connection. And I would say definitely do it, experience it for yourself. I think it's life-changing. So I would say go for it for sure.
Excellent. Okay. You don't have to narrow it down to just one. You can share as much as you would like to, but do you have a favorite Carmel swimming memory?
Oh my gosh. Again, I could talk days on end about all of the laughs and fun memories that I had. But when I think about the ones that stick out most throughout my whole experience, it's definitely the team trips. And I know a lot of us have mentioned that, but we had the opportunity to go to Florida, to Buffalo, New York. You drive to Lakeside. So many amazing opportunities and chances to see places across the country that maybe you wouldn't have normally seen. One of my favorites was when we had just started Operation Omaha, which was a group geared towards trying to make Olympic trial cuts. And I think there were about like 15 or 20 of us. But it started back in 2008. And part of joining the group was that you had to sacrifice your spring break. And spring break is the time where you get a week off from swimming and you look forward to the week. So it was tough to commit to. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, like,
we're really doing this.
That week. Right. But so we ended up going out to California. So we went to a meet at Stanford, and then we trained after that meet as well. And we got to see the Stanford campus, the Cal campus. We ended up going to Alcatraz. We went to Big Sur. We did some hiking and whatnot. And it's just, again, an experience that I wouldn't have had otherwise without Carmel Swim Club. And there are so many instances from that trip that I still look back on and laugh about. We thought it was hilarious to sing Happy Birthday to Ian literally everywhere we went. We sang at like every restaurant. Probably got 5 cakes over the course of that trip.
I don't think I ever heard of it. I knew that the happy birthday part. I don't think I knew about the cakes.
They brought out a dessert everywhere we went. Ian was probably like, oh my gosh, like, enough of this. But anyway, so then we went to Bubba Gump. They had him stand up on a chair. The whole restaurant sang to him. We did it at the swim meet at Stanford. And then I think Ian thought he was in the clear, and he was like, we're heading home. We're on the airplane. So we got to the flight attendant and we were like, it's Ian Murray's birthday. Like, can we all sing to him? So the whole plane sang to him. He was, he didn't make it out, but so it's, it's just funny instances like that I look back on now, and memories like that I'll cherish forever. But that was one of my favorite memories for sure.
That's great. I think the tourism department of Buffalo, New York owes you, since you put it on the level with all those trips. I'm just going to point that out. You'll have a former head coach who will be very happy to hear that.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
What do you think might surprise somebody to learn about Carmel Swim Club?
So I think when people think of Carmel Swim Club and why they're so successful, I think they would obviously think of the training aspect, maybe training the hardest and having the most innovative training styles. But I think people would be surprised at how much of an emphasis goes into culture and creating this teamwork environment. When you walk on the pool deck, you see these banners of the core values that are spread out across the pool deck. There's a quote on every single practice about being a good teammate or something that's motivational. And then, I think back to my experience, we had Winner's Circle where we went around every single Monday and we acknowledged a teammate for something great that they did. And I think that there's such a huge emphasis on courage, perseverance, and teamwork. And those are the pillars of the swim club. And they really base the environment off of that. And I think that that's what helps the swim club thrive, decades later. I think that that's their main priority is creating athletes who are focused on teamwork and building up others and creating this conducive environment for that. And I don't think people really understand how much of an emphasis is placed on that, especially from an outsider's perspective. It's hard to understand, but that's something that I don't think most people understand about the club.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else you want to add or share?
Oh my gosh. No, obviously, thank you for having me. I could talk about my experience with Carmel Swim Club forever. I'm so grateful for all of you. I think, you guys became family. The athletes and the coaching staff, I think of all of you obviously as great coaches and mentors, but also friends. And I think that's super special. I don't see any other athletes who I grew up swimming with who really have that relationship, that tight-knit relationship with the people that they swam with and even the coaching staff. And I think it's just such a special place, and it will always have a special place in my heart. And I'm so thankful to have been a part of it. And I obviously thank you guys for, kind of paving the way and really making us believe that the mission we bought into was possible and kind of passing that down to the other generations. I think it's crazy to think that this legacy has been built and is still today, and going strong. And it's just like, I take so much pride in being an athlete on that club. So just, wanted to say thank you to you and everyone who is there behind the scenes who maybe doesn't get the acknowledgement that they deserve. But yeah, I just love it so much. So other than that, I don't have much else to say.
Well, thank you very much, Trish. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Maggie. Oh, it was so much fun.